Ever wondered if your browser history could qualify you for some kind of twisted PhD in human anatomy? Well, that is my story. My problem is bigger than my student loan debt, and instead of keeping my mind busy, I kept my hands. Hey there, fellow humans navigating the wild west of the internet age. My name's, well, let's call me Tim, because my real name is probably tattooed somewhere embarrassing on the internet by now. You know what nobody tells you about rock bottom? It's surprisingly comfortable. Like literally, I had invested in a really good gaming chair by that point. But comfort isn't the same as happiness, and I was about as happy as a vegetarian at a barbecue convention. My wake-up call came when I realized I knew more about fictional people's intimate lives than my own family's birthdays. My nephew could have graduated college, gotten married, and started a small business, and I would have missed all of it because I was too busy being a digital hermit. The Great Realization, aka Houston, we have a problem. The thing about addiction is that it sneaks up on you like that friend who just drops by, but somehow ends up eating all your cereal and sleeping on your couch for 3 weeks. One day you're a normal person who occasionally watches adult content, and the next day you're Googling, is 47 tabs too many? At 2 in the morning. My dopamine receptors were more burnt out than a 90s boy band trying to make a comeback. I needed increasingly weird stuff to feel anything, which was about as sustainable as a chocolate teapot. My brain had basically turned into that friend who always needs just a little more of everything. More stimulation, more novelty, more everything except actual human connection. The food revolution, or how I learned to stop worrying and love vegetables. Now, I'm not going to lie. When someone first suggested that my diet might be connected to my recreational habits, I laughed so hard I nearly choked on my energy drink. What's next? I thought, telling me that kale can cure my existential dread? It kind of can. Turns out, my brain was running on the nutritional equivalent of gas station sushi. My neurotransmitters were more confused than a chameleon in a bag of Skittles. So I decided to become a dopamine farmer, growing my own happy chemicals through actual food instead of borrowing them from the internet. The tyrosine squad. I started eating eggs like I was training for a Rocky montage. Chicken, turkey, beans. Basically anything that could help my brain remember how to make its own dopamine instead of outsourcing the job to my Wi-Fi connection. Omega. 3 commandos. Fish became my new best friend. Salmon, walnuts, flax seeds. I was consuming more omega-3s than a health-conscious dolphin. My brain fog started lifting like a bad metaphor in a first draft. The magnesium miracle. Leafy greens and nuts became my evening entertainment instead of other things. Who knew that spinach could be more satisfying than pixels? Blood sugar, the unsung hero of mental stability. Here's something they don't teach you in health class. Your blood sugar is basically the temperamental artist of your internal systems. When it's happy, everyone's happy. When it's not, well, let's just say I was moodier than a teenager who just discovered they have to do their own laundry. I traded my sugar crashes for steady, whole grain energy. Oats became my morning ritual, quinoa my dinner companion. I felt more stable than a table with 4 equal legs, which, let me tell you, was a significant upgrade from my previous foundation of energy drinks and regret. The gut-brain highway, population, trillions of tiny helpers. My gut health was more neglected than a gym membership in February. But apparently, 90% of serotonin is made in your gut, which explains why I felt like garbage after eating garbage. So I embarked on a probiotic adventure that would make a health food store owner weep with joy. Kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir. I was fermenting my way to freedom. My gut bacteria went from a ghost town to a thriving metropolis, and my mood followed suit. Turns out, when you feed the good guys downstairs, the management upstairs gets its act together. Lifestyle makeover. From couch potato to functional human. Exercise. I started moving my body for reasons other than reaching for snacks. Walking, swimming, even dancing badly in my living room. Anything to get those endorphins flowing like a positive news cycle. Rare, but beautiful when it happens. I established a bedtime routine stricter than airport security. No screens, no stimulation, just me and my thoughts trying to figure out how to coexist peacefully. Spoiler alert, we're still working on it, but we're making progress. I learned to sit with my thoughts without immediately reaching for my phone like it was a security blanket. Meditation became my new superpower, the ability to be bored without immediately needing entertainment. Revolutionary stuff. The support network, aka my personal board of directors. I joined support groups where we talked about our struggles with the enthusiasm of sports fans discussing controversial referee calls. Turns out, sharing your deepest shame with strangers on the internet can be therapeutic when it's the right kind of strangers. Therapy became my weekly appointment with reality. My therapist helped me understand that my addiction was like a badly programmed GPS. It kept taking me to the same dead-end street while insisting it was the fastest route. The spiritual dimension, or finding meaning in a meaningless world. I won't get all preachy on you, but finding something bigger than my immediate desires helped put things in perspective. Whether it's religion, philosophy, or just a really good book series, having a sense of purpose beyond personal pleasure makes the journey feel worth it. The plot twist ending. 6 months later, I'm sitting here writing this story instead of... Well, my browser history is now boring enough to show my grandmother, if she knew what browser history was. I cook actual meals, sleep at reasonable hours, and have conversations with humans that don't involve asking them to restart my Wi-Fi router. The best part, I discovered that real life has better plot development than anything I was watching online. Relationships have character arcs. Personal growth has actual stakes, and the resolution is way more satisfying because it's actually yours. The moral of the story: recovery isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming real. It's trading pixels for pickles, virtual connections for actual ones, and borrowed pleasure for homegrown happiness. It's messy, it's awkward, and sometimes you'll eat so many vegetables you'll feel like a very confused rabbit. But here's the thing. Life on the other side is like getting your vision corrected after years of squinting. Everything is clearer, brighter, and way more interesting than you remembered. So if you're reading this at 3 a.m. in your pajamas, wondering if there's a way out of the digital rabbit hole, let me tell you, there is. And it starts with closing that laptop and making yourself a proper meal. Trust me, your future self will thank you, and they'll probably have much better stories to tell. If you're wondering, yes, I still have that really good gaming chair, but now I use it for reading books and having video calls with actual humans. Character development at its finest.